Okay, guys, most officers know this already. The search is not over because the contraband was found. Sometimes that's when the real danger begins. What happened at Cheshire Correctional Institution is a reminder that every officer working behind the walls, contraband is not just a policy violation. Contraband creates pressure, it creates panic, it creates desperation, and when an inmate believes they are about to lose something important, like drugs, weapon, a phone, money, status, control, that inmate may be violent. He may react violently. Now, before I go any further, I want to say this very clearly. I'm not here to blame the officers who were injured. Those officers did what they should have done. They came to work, they did their job, but they got hurt. My thoughts are with these officers and their family. But as correctional officers, we owe it to each of us, brothers and sisters, to take these incidents and study from it, learn from them, and ask one important question. What can we do differently next time to give ourselves a better chance of going home safe? Now, according to the reports, after the contraband was discovered in an inmate cell at Cheshire, the inmate later approached the officer station and allegedly started throwing closed fist strikes at the officers. Unfortunately, 6 officers were injured. 4 went to the hospital, 2 stayed on duty. That tells me one thing right there. The danger did not end when the contraband was found. The danger escalated after the discovery. And that is the lesson here. Now, when you find contraband, guys, especially serious contraband, we can't treat it or treat the situation like a routine cell search anymore. That is when the inmate may be embarrassed. The inmate may be angry. That inmate may be worried about discipline. That inmate may be worried about owing somebody else. That inmate might think staff just took away their money, their power, or their protection. And that is when staff must shift their mind and set it to the moment contraband is discovered, the incident changes to a search to a potential security threat. That means we need to slow down mentally, communication needs to be clear, and stop assuming that the inmate is going to accept the consequences peacefully. One of the biggest mistakes we can make in correction is relaxing too early. We find the item, we bag the item, we notify the supervisor, we start paperwork, and everybody starts thinking the major part's over. But for the inmate, the major part may be just starting. Now, that is when they may come to the officer station. That is when they may try to confront the staff. That is when they may try to destroy the evidence. That is when they may try to assault someone to regain control. That is when they may try to create chaos so staff lose focus. So what could help prevent something like this? Now, once again, I'm not saying I know every detail of what happened at Cheshire. I was not there. But the investigation will determine the facts. But the officer's safety standpoint, there are lessons from every facility we can review and learn from and help each other, brothers and sisters. Now, the lesson 1 here is treat contraband discovery as a trigger point. Contraband is emotional. To staff, is evidence. To the inmate, it may be survival, money, addiction, influence, or leverage. So when contraband is found, staff should immediately recognize that the inmate may become unpredictable. This is the time to increase awareness, not lower it. We should be watching body language. We should be watching the hands. Where are his hands? You should be listening to the tone of the voice. You should be watching who the inmate looks at. You should be watching who starts moving around the dorm or the day room, because many times the assault does not come out of nowhere. There are signs before it happens. The problem is we miss signs when we get comfortable. Now, lesson 2 here is to control the movement after the discovery. Now, if contraband is found, staff should be thinking about movement. Where is the inmate? Where are the other inmates? Who has access to the officer station? Is the inmate free to walk straight toward staff? Is the unit settled down or tense in the building? One thing officers need to remember is this: the officer station can become a target. That is where reports are written. That is where evidence may be discussed. That is where staff gathers. That is where inmates know decisions are made. So after contraband is found, officers cannot let the station become an easy point of attack. Staff should not, or staff should avoid standing flat-footed, distracted, or grouped together with no one watching the floor. Somebody needs to keep their eyes on the inmate population. Somebody needs to monitor the inmate's involvement. Somebody needs to watch the approach and the approach routes. You do not want the first warning sign to be a punch landing. Now, lesson number 3, communication. You've got to communicate early and clearly. A lot of incidents gets worse because communication breaks down. One officer knows contraband was found. Another officer only knows something is going on. A supervisor may be on the way. Medical may not know anything. The control room may not know the tension is rising. That cannot happen once contraband is found. Staff needs to be clear and have clear communication, not gossip. Don't panic. Not radio traffic that gives away unnecessary details, but be clear and professional. Communication. Something like contraband located. Inmate is agitated. Additional staff maintain awareness. Supervisor notified. Simple, calm, professional. Everybody's working that unit should understand the risk. The level just changed. All right, lesson number 4. Do not let paperwork distract you from the threat. This is a big one. After contraband is found, officers naturally start thinking about the paperwork. Photos, evidence, chain of custody, notifications, the report, and charges. All of that matters, but none of that matters more than an officer's safety in the moment. You can write the report later. You can complete the evidence form later. You can review the camera later. But if the inmate is still present, agitated, mobile, and focused on staff, the threat is still active. Do not bury your face in paperwork while the inmate is still in a position to attack. One officer doing paperwork means another officer needs to be watching. If everybody is focused on the evidence, nobody is focused on the inmate. That is how officers get surprised. That's how officers get hurt. Lesson 5, never assume he won't do that. This is complacency. This is where people get complacent. It creeps in. We say things like, he's usually respectful. He never assaulted staff before. He's just mad. He'll calm down. He's all talk. Maybe, but maybe not. Correctional officers do not get paid to assume. The best case scenario, we get paid to prepare for the worst while staying professional. That does not mean mistreating people. That does not mean escalating every situation. That does not mean violating policy. It means staying alert. Professionalism and officer safety can exist at the same time. You could be calm and ready. You could be respectful and prepared. You could follow policy and still protect yourself. What officers should take from this. Here's the big takeaway. When contraband is found, pause and reassess. Ask yourself, where's the inmate? What is his behavior? Where are his hands? Who is watching him? Who is watching the unit? Where are my backup officers? Can we walk directly up on staff? Are we standing in a bad position? Are we distracted by the paperwork? Has the supervisor been notified? Do we need to secure movement until things calms down? That mental checklist can have someone from getting hurt. Because in correction, it is usually not the big mistake that causes the incident. It is a chain. One person gets distracted, one warning sign gets missed, one officer stands too close, one inmate is allowed to close distance, one radio call is delayed, one moment of comfort turns into a fight, and then everybody is reacting instead of preventing. Now, to the officers that were injured at Cheshire, respect and prayers for your recovery. To every officer watching this, do not take these incidents lightly. Contraband searches are no routine. Officer stations are not safe zones. Inmates under pressure can become dangerous and fast. And the moment you think it won't happen here, that is usually when complacency is standing right behind you. Stay alert. Watch the hands. Control the movement. Communicate early and back each other up. And never let paperwork, routine, or comfort pull your eyes off that threat. Because at the end of the day, or end of the shift, the goal is simple. Everybody goes home. If you work corrections, drop your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think officers should watch for after contraband has been found? I want you to stay safe, stay professional, and stay ready. We're building a community here. Brothers and sisters, we're here to help each other out. And that's what this video is most important about. And once again, my thoughts and prayers are with you at Cheshire.